Today we're going to be giving you our choices for pome fruit here in the Arizona desert. That's up next. Hello everyone, this is Dwayne with Edge of Nowhere Farm, and we're coming to you here in October of 2022. If you guys have been following us along, you know that we have over 170 fruiting trees, vines, and shrubs here on this newly established functioning farm in the Arizona desert. What we want to do today is share with you our top picks for growing pome fruit in desert environments. All the trees that you're seeing here today are all 2 years old or younger. So keep that in mind as we're looking at all of these trees. Now, pome fruit, that is a category of fruit that includes basically apples and pears, which is what we're going to be talking about here today. The key thing we found when it comes to growing apples in the desert is finding varieties that are ripe early in the summer versus later in the season and into the fall. The tree that you see behind me here is a golden Dorset apple tree. This one really is kind of the gold standard, so to speak, of apple trees when it comes to desert growing. We've been growing this particular variety for the better part of the last 7 years and have seen some incredible harvests off of these trees. This tree here is an Anna apple tree. A lot of times you'll see the golden Dorset and the Anna side by side. While this is a self-fruitful variety, as is the golden Dorset, these will fruit better if they're planted alongside a golden Dorset apple tree. As compared to the golden Dorset apple, which is a solid green apple, this one has a slightly red blush and just a beautiful, beautiful apple. This tree here is a bit more difficult to find. The apple varieties we've been talking about so far we get from Reed at RSI Growers in Glendale, Arizona. He only sells to us here in Arizona. The rootstocks are designed for our desert soil. And this is a Tropic Suite that we get from his nursery. This is a much sweeter apple than the golden Dorset and the Anna, but a little harder to find, and we found it's a bit more of a challenge when it comes to bird pressure as you get into the month of June. But a wonderful sweet apple for us here if you can find it in Arizona. And the last of our summer fruiting apples here in Arizona, this is the Einsheimer apple. This one is a little easier to find online. Don't typically find these here locally at the nurseries. We ordered these from Greg Peterson and his Urban Farm Fruit Tree program. It's a Dave Wilson tree. You can see it's still growing really, really well for us. We've found that these apples are a little smaller than the golden Dorset, the Anna, and the Tropic Suite, and it does fruit just a little bit later than those as well. However, still a great option coming to us from Israel in an apple for desert environments. I should mention we have 3 varieties of fall ripening apples. What you see behind me here is a Gala apple tree. These trees will set fruit. The challenge that we have in Arizona is the fruit needs to get through our summers, and these trees have a tendency to stunt a bit during the peak of summer, and you'll notice that your fruit will start to either drop or actually almost even rot on the tree. While we're hopeful that between the 3 varieties we have here that we can get ripe fruit into the fall, we've just found from experience over the last 7 years that it's really a big challenge. Now, the varieties that we're trying, again, this is a Gala apple tree behind me here. In addition, we have a Jersey Mac, and we also have a Wynoochee Early. Those varieties, we're keeping our fingers crossed, will be cross-pollinated by the Gala, and hopefully we can get a few ripe fruits into the fall. We can't talk about pome fruit without talking about pears. If you look at the history of apples, the idea is that at some point through this evolutionary process, We started out with some type of mixture between a pear and an apple, and they've diverged into thousands of different apple varieties and multiple pear varieties. The challenge for us here in Arizona that we're finding when it comes to pears is, like all other fall ripening fruit, getting the fruit through our hot summers. Now, we are testing out a few different pear varieties. I'm gonna break those up into two categories. You have your traditional European pears. You're gonna see a couple varieties behind me here in the Seckel pear that's immediately behind me. And we are also trying out the Waddell pear that we get from Reed at RSI Growers. Those are traditional European pears. They're designed to ripen in the fall. You remove them off the tree and leave them on the counter to blet, which is basically ripen on the counter, and then you have a ripe fruit. Of course, that assumes that we can actually get those fruit through our summer months and into the fall. So what you see behind me here is a 20th century Asian pear. We actually had one of these on the old farm that was a bit older than this tree you're seeing behind me here. We did get a pretty solid fruit set, and we did get some ripe fruit. So we're hopeful that even though these take a while before they actually fruit, we're gonna be able to see some ripe Asian pears as well. Now, one thing about the Asian pears versus the European pears is they can be eaten fresh off of the tree and are more like a crisp apple. So what we're hopeful for in that is that tougher skin that they tend to have will allow this tree to set and ripen fruit that actually survive our summers and get into fall. So I suppose we'll see. So of all the different varieties that we've seen today, I want to give you my top 3 choices for different types of pome fruit in desert environments. Choice number 3, if you can find it, would be a Tropic Suite apple. I know that you can find them online from time to time. If you're here in Arizona and Reed has them available at RSI Growers, he'll have them for you as well. Now, that tree does need the Anna apple as the pollinating variety for it. So you will actually need to get 2 trees, or if you can find one that's grafted with the Anna on it, a Tropic Sweet apple is a fantastic sweet apple for us here in Arizona. My number 2 choice for an apple in desert environments would be the Anna apple. It is a very good apple, very similar in flavor to the Golden Dorset. It does produce well, it's self-pollinating, but in order for you to get a really good fruit set, we found that it is best to have a cross-pollinator, and that would be the Golden Dorset apple. And our top choice for apples in desert environments would be the Golden Dorset apple. It really is the gold standard when it comes to apples that are in desert environments. They're very easy to find, although we prefer to get them from Reed at RSI Growers. You can find them just about everywhere. They are very precocious growers and producers. You're gonna get an abundant harvest, and it doesn't matter whether you have a pollinator or not. Now, the Golden Dorset and the Anna both have a flavor very similar to Granny Smith apples, so more tart than sweet. However, they really are your best options when it comes to a good fruiting tree in a desert environment. So just wanna thank you for joining us today. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. We cover a lot of things here on this newly established functioning farm here in the Arizona desert. Obviously, fruit trees is one of those, but would love to see on a regular basis. Any questions or comments, please leave those in the comment sections down below. Particularly today, would love to get your opinions on growing apples in desert environments like this. And our Amazon shop, I'll leave a link down in the description. That is a free, painless way to help support the channel. If you start with the link down below, it doesn't matter what you buy, you help to support us here. So just wanna thank you for joining us today and remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere, so can you. Did you just ask me if I'm straight?
No.
I won't take it personal. You are a female. We've been married for 26 years.
And I don't know yet that you're straight or not.
I would think that you would have figured out, yep, Dwayne's straight.